Hello, welcome to episode 1 of Death of the Chef. Today we're going to start with the episode Tom's Lament. Thomas Twiddell is our camera person over here at camera 2, the eye level camera.
Yeah.
To start, we're going to take flour tortilla, adorn it with 2 fried eggs, some cheese, other various things that contribute to its mendacity, and turn it into something that's hopefully a little bit more edible by the end of this. So join us and we will get started with episode 1, Tom's Lament. So for step 1 of Tom's unfortunate lament is this mendacity, which is my favorite word of the day now.
I noticed.
The biggest flour tortilla you can possibly find and procure. And then, for some reason that I don't know, and maybe if I can open the cheese, we're going to take our shredded cheese, preferably the pre-shredded stuff, because that's even worse. And, you're just going to kind of throw it down as per the creator's notes. And for an unspecified degree, really. Thank you, Jonah, for the face bombs or whatever just happened. And then if you're too lazy to actually open your cheese properly, you can cut it open. Anyway, now we get to move on to...
I just got such a good idea for a camera angle.
Throw our basil down.
No, that has Thomas.
10 leaves of basil, because that, again, is recipes specified instructions to a smattered degree. And now we get to move over to the stove. All right, so the next step of Tom's Lament is the 2 fried eggs. So the important part with your eggs, first for being fried, is that they have to be fried. So that includes butter and I suppose whatever other oil you want, just loosely throughout the pan. You don't want too much depth because then you're deep frying your eggs, and that would be a situation that I've never tried, so I don't advise it. So our first step is going to be cracking the eggs. If I fail to crack the eggs properly, then we have to start this all again, and the last 5 minutes were mayhem. So let's hope. Egg 1 held together, so we're all set with that one. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Egg 2, here's to hoping it stayed together. Look at that. We can get a round of applause on set. I'm gonna wash my hands quickly. Those are gonna cook. Don't touch a hot pan, by the way. That's not a good idea. Okay, so now that your eggs have set, you can probably season them a little bit. Be very restrained with your salt. Wilson, are you alright, buddy? Just a little bit of salt, especially if you've got celery salt. Is Wilson more important than your job?
No. No, sir!
That's right. Next, we're going to take your celery salt, which I've never used in my life. Thanks, Tom. Sprinkle that over top.
Today marks a day that you can't go back from.
Exactly, and this is the first application. A little bit of pepper. I don't want it to be overpowering because I don't think pepper and strawberry jelly that's been microwaved for a minute and a half is gonna play well. That's just a theory, though. So now we're gonna let these fry for a little bit until essentially the whites have set, maybe browned a little bit around the edges, but the yolks are still runny. I don't know how that's gonna hold up after it's microwaved. We are about to find out. So,
I will say for reference, this is uncharted territory as my yolks were entirely solid.
I'm really glad that is something that I don't have to contend with unless I overcook these.
I paused. Okay, good.
If you overcook them, they'll be very solid. Oh.
Okay, so now that the eggs have solidified a bit, at least in the yolks, or the whites and the eggs are still runny, we're gonna turn off our oven's heat and try to slide these out without breaking anything. I'm gonna separate these because I'm not that confident in my ability to do that. Or we're not gonna separate them, and we are just gonna hope. So we
It'll be fine.
turn them out of the pan. We're gonna set the pan off to the side because we're gonna use that later, and it's still hot, so if we hit it with water, we're gonna take off the coating. So, we've got our eggs. Next, if I'm not mistaken, is the strawberry jelly? Okay, so the final and most revolting part of this entire process is our strawberry fruit spread, which we are going to use what is depicted as 1 sandwich's worth. So, I don't actually know what that means. So, I'm just gonna take my jelly here, and this hurts me on every culinary degree possible, and just, spread a little bit, much to the dismay of those on set.
Oh, it's so much.
It's so much.
Tom
This is, I can fix sandwich.
Tom is not dismayed in the slightest.
So now that we've done the most disappointing thing I could have done with my Friday afternoon, we're gonna go over to the microwave to make this even worse. Because whatever reason, now this is going to get microwaved. That is a sad sentence. So we're gonna put this creation in here. I'm gonna put in 1 minute and 30 seconds, no more. And unfortunately no less. Close it and nuke it. And now we wait. This is sad.
I think I can do the help with the cleanup? Or...
No, I'm not cleaning that much more. So we've done it. There's no turning back. This opens. This is going to be atomically hot, probably. So what you're going to do is just... Oh, it's not that bad. Before you put it... Oh, God. Is this... Tom, the creator, does this improve?
It actually looks better than mine.
Oh, should it go back in, or are you ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay.
It smells so much like basil.
It does, actually. So we're going to get some forks. So that we can try it. Smattering. Look at this monstrosity. Like,
Smile with your work.
I don't want to.
Use that.
So now that we're here, I guess this is the... I don't know what else to say. I'm just gonna do it. Does the yolk run at least? I did a thing. So
Thank you
everything's...
for turning this gourmet in.
I'm not even gonna go through a run through. The eggs are fucked. The basil's dead. The cheese is melted. Everything's separated. I hate my life. Let's do this. Let's get some of the basil, I guess. This is fuck this. Bon appetit. It's so hot. Oh. Okay. All I'm getting is basil and egg.
Okay.
You gotta go back in.
Do I need like a minute? I don't know.
Just take a bit of...
No.
Okay, that's terrible. Okay, so the criticism is that it's not good. Nothing about this is supposed to exist together. Nothing about it coheres, and the fact that all of it has broken or entered a new state of matter is not enjoyable in any regard. So I think it earns the term of lament. You guys get to try it now.
Awesome.
Yay!
It was bad. I got all the flavors at once, unlike Jake. I got the evil jelly. I got the bad basil, and then eggs and cheese on top of it.
What's up, guys? I'm reflecting on my experience having eaten whatever that was. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't good, but it was more strange than it was bad.
You know, I was a bit scared of Tom's Lament because of the name, because of the basil, because of the jelly. But, you know, when I grabbed a bite, I mostly got eggs, cheese, tortilla, and happy.
We're gonna use the
Okay.
mozzarella eventually.
So
We're still gonna use the
When
mozzarella eventually.
when I first ate it essentially I tasted the individual flavors instead of it combined. So it was just jelly and then some egg and then some cheese. That was fine. Eventually you get a little bit of the combined. That's not good. However, it was not as bad as the initial concoction. And I'm gonna have to figure out what I did differently. I don't know how I managed to get the individual in a sequence for the most part, but I would not try it again if it were just the combined part. I give it, I don't know, low out of 10. I can't be bothered to figure it out.
I would have had another slice, honestly. I don't think I got the best combination of flavors. I think I think it's important to get the right combination, and I think 2 slices could have balanced that out. But overall, like 4 out of 10.
I am okay. I ate Tom's Lament and I'm okay. And I don't know if that's better or worse.
He's a survivor.
Before I begin, I'd like to preface with the fact that this was not my idea. It's called Tom's Lament for a reason. So in creating that, I didn't come up with any of those ideas, and I'd like that to be a symbol when I, mark my culinary crafts with such a disastrous amalgamum of broken jelly, questionably, I don't even know the adjective, eggs, and basil that became more pungent than any I've ever seen in my life, or smelled for that matter. It didn't elicit a gag reflex, so it's got a plus going for it in that regard, but never in my life will I willingly do this again.
Thank you so much.
Now that we've gotten that out of the way, much to everybody's pleasure, especially Catherine, may he rest in peace, We're gonna do our next version, which is gonna be a pesto egg prosciutto breakfast burrito with a balsamic strawberry reduction to go over top. So let's get to cooking. So the first stage of this is making a strawberry balsamic reduction, which we'll just have going while we're cooking. So to do that, we're just gonna take a few strawberries. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, however many that is gonna be. That's 5. Look at that. We'll probably do a few more, but whatever. So you're just gonna cut the ends off of all of those, making sure not to slice your fingers off because that is never a fun experience. Hospital's gonna be notoriously slow, and then that hinders the amount of time your balsamic cooks. It could over-reduce, and then you can't taste your strawberries, so nobody wants that. And then on top of that, with the fact that it's all just, red, you won't be able to tell. So to do this, we're just gonna chop them up roughly because it really doesn't matter. We're just trying to impart the flavor of strawberries. And we will likely strain this at the end. So it doesn't matter how finely they're chopped, just be careful again when you're doing such so that you don't slice your fingers. Just try to get them broken up a little bit so that more cell walls are broken, it's easier to get the flavor out of it, all of that fun stuff that comes from cooking and imparting flavor into things. And then your friends don't yell at you for not knowing what you're doing. So that's all fun stuff sometimes. So now that we're almost done, and this step was basically pointless, and I don't know why I bothered to do it, we can move on once you can scrape this off your knife. So, after that, we're gonna go to the stovetop. So if you decide not to go with death by balsamic to never have to deal with your friends again, you can take your balsamic vinegar, turn your oven on medium, lowish. It's not really well, it is a science, but I don't know how to do it properly. And take your balsamic, just pour it in the pan. The whole idea of this is just to reduce it down, to get a thick glaze to go over top, and hopefully impart the strawberry flavor. So we're gonna do that. Keep the stove on for the most part. Just watch that, make sure it doesn't boil over. Close this up and let it do its thing. This is probably a bit more butter than we need, but we've got some in the pan. We're gonna take our flour tortilla here and we're just gonna toss it in to get it toasted up a little bit, get some browning. At the same time, your balsamic is gonna start to bubble. I'm sorry to everybody in the kitchen because this is gonna be very pungent, so try not to inhale just straight balsamic because as Tom found out, that will devastate your nostrils. So, we're just gonna wait for this to toast and then we'll continue on. So, the tortilla is toasted mildly on both sides. That's about the most we can ask for. We don't want it to get crispy because then it's not really gonna hold anything very well. So, we're gonna take that out, plop it on our plate. Maybe turn your oven down a little bit. You've got an electric stove like I do. It's not gonna go down immediately, which is why gas is better for those kinds of things. But we work what we have. Thank you for the agreement, Catherine. Don't know what I'd do without that. So, you're gonna hut that in. And if you're cooking for a restaurant, you obviously know how to cook, so I'm not going to bother explaining, but using your hands, make sure you wash them periodically, just so you don't infect anybody with germs. It's general human common sense, but nonetheless.
Are we assuming restaurant people will watch this?
Oh, not at all. I don't think anybody's going to watch this.
I will.
I'm honored. Alright, so now we're going to go on to our 2 wonderful eggs here, which I just realized that we're scrambling, not frying. So we're actually going to turn down our heat significantly more and wait. So to improve upon the disaster that was 10 random leaves of basil, and mostly because I want to, we are going to make pesto to supplement that. Because we have 2 people who are allergic to nuts, and we value them a little bit. We're not going to put pine nuts in this. Typically we put pine nuts in pesto first and grind them up. We're going to skip that part and just take an undisclosed amount of fresh basil, throw it in. A lot of pesto making is, well, I'm sure it's written down somewhere as a science, but it's mostly personal preference. So, we're going to take that, close it up, and you're just going to pulse it a couple times and chop up your basil. I'm going to stop, open it, and add our wonderful mix-ins. So first, I've just got some garlic here in garlic juice, for lack of a better word. And that's going to impart more garlic flavor, which is wonderful. You could use fresh garlic, and that would probably be significantly better. But we're not going to do that because that's another process with another cutting board, and I don't want to do that. All right, thanks for the sound effects. So you've got garlic. We're going to take some lemon juice. Again, fresh lemon, better. I don't have one of those. So we're just going to do this. Again, we're going to do this. Probably have to go back and revise the quantities for taste, but this is just how we're going to do it. So we're going to take all that. We'll probably have more cheese later. And pulse once again. Alright, so as you can see, it's getting stuck to the sides, and that's because we're yet to add our most integral and wonderful part, olive oil. So, This is where it's probably going to be the most lenient. You're going to add a little bit at a time. All right. Alright, so to substitute for the fried eggs, which would just break, collapse, and be a general disappointment in a burrito, we're going to substitute with scrambled eggs. So we've got some butter that's been heating up on like medium-low heat. The idea is not to overcook the eggs because then they're just going to solidify. Be a weird omelet situation. That's just not what we want. So I've beaten 2 eggs together in this bowl here. I'm going to add them into the butter. You hear sizzling. Your pan is too hot. You've done something wrong. Start again because your eggs will be overcooked and a general, again, disappointment. So now we're just going to try to repeatedly stir. That's the idea here. You don't want eggs to set up right away in large clumps because then you're not going to get the nice fluffy eggs that you are used to, accustomed to, and love oh so dearly in your heart. And we're going to wait to apply seasoning for a little bit. So this is just a process of stirring, which Parker is going to have to axe, of course, because it's a long process. So the scrambled eggs are done. They're in a state of homogeneity. Turn off the heat, take them off the heat, and now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, who am I looking at? So for the next step, we're actually going to enter our semi-assembly stage. So to begin, we're going to take a spoon, we're going to take our pesto, and we're just going to do a layer of pesto throughout the whole burrito. It's pretty self-explanatory as to the reasons. I don't have much to say beyond that, honestly. My commentary is waning. There's a lot of pepper in this pesto. Hopefully it tastes fine. That was a bit of a miscalculation on my part, so my apologies in advance if you guys don't like that. Next, we're going to take our scrambled eggs, which are thoroughly scrambled, put them in the lower trimester, it's probably the wrong word, of our burrito. Thanks, Hugo. Our burrito, just so that when it folds up, they don't get weirdly squished out and everything folds up nicely. Then we're going to take this cheese here, hope that the residual heat and the toasting actually allows it to melt. This has been pre-shredded beforehand, just so that it's an easier process. If you use pre-shredded as opposed to fresh shredded, your pre-shredded stuff from the store is going to have a lot of like declumping agents in it, so it's just going to lend generally worse flavor overall. It's not going to melt quite as well, so always grate your own cheese. So we're going to set this to the side, and then the folding process, which I have not done in years, so let's hope this works. So it's bottom, sides, bottom again. So we're going to fold that up.
Yeah, get our burrito consultant in here.
Fold the sides in, and then roll the rest of the burrito until you've got a semi-burrito. But we're not done yet. We're going to take the pan, turn the heat on, and then we're going to take a burrito, and we're going to put it in to toast it. And hope that that helps melt the cheese, solidify the shape a little bit, and we'll be ready to eat. So before we cut into it, just a brief overview. We've got a toasted, massive flour tortilla, some homemade pesto, scrambled eggs, freshly shredded cheddar cheese, and to adorn all of that, some balsamic glaze with balsamic strawberries, and some freshly picked basil to garnish. Let's see if any of this work was worth any monochrome of the time that we put into it by bisecting and crushing this entire thing with a mediocre knife. Okay. What are you whispering over there? So, upon inspection, everything looks melted enough. What is happening? I'm so incredibly lost. This is just falling apart. Oh my god. Thank you for the. I appreciate the thumbs up from you, at least.
Thanks, Jonah.
And for this messy. This is a disaster. I'm sorry. I cook things. I don't eat
Hey,
things.
it's not your fault.
No, it's fine as long as it tastes good.
It's your fault.
Alright.
Buy your money before your money buys you.
I'm saying.
Not so much better. It's actually good. The balsamic's a little powerful. It's good. You guys try it.
Alright.
So I just did some jump squats with Tom in Shane's yard, and the burrito was good. I'm not actually that tired, but eat the burrito.
I don't know, it was good. Good burrito. Better than the abject failure of Tom's Lament.
What
I'd
made
say.
it good?
A variety of factors. Number one, it wasn't microwaved. Number two, there wasn't any jelly involved. Number three, it was just a better idea in general.
It was much better, for sure. It was actually a meal instead of an awful concoction.
It was said that parts of this were a failure because they did not evoke emotion. Wow, that is a truthful statement. I think its lack of emotional invoking, considering what it did cause previously, is a benefit to its creation, and I think it was a genuinely good dish. While the balsamic was overpowering in some regards, it was a genuine improvement and something that, despite the hour that went into its creation, was worth the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.